Hello everybody, Chris Navarre here, and today I briefly wanted to talk to you all about whether or not you should publish your books inside of KDP Select if you're going to be publishing your own ebooks online. So whenever you're publishing your books online, you have quite a few different retailer options, especially compared to how people used to have to go through publishing companies just in order to be authors. And Amazon is one of those retailers which gives you the option to enter into an exclusivity agreement called KDP Select. They make it super easy, and it sounds very, very tempting to sign up when you're going through your publishing process. The question is whether or not it's actually worth it. When you enter into exclusivity with Amazon, it means you get a lot of benefits in exchange for not being allowed to publish your book on any other online media, or even sell your book through your own website while you're under KDP Select. That means no Smashwords, no Kobo, no iTunes, no Google Play, no Barnes and Nobles, no nothing. So here's what you get in return, though. So your royalties go up to 70% for Japan, India, Brazil, and Mexico, in addition to the list of regular countries that you can get 70% royalties from, like the UK and the US. Of course, that only applies if your book does happen to be within the $2.99 and $9.99 price range that is pretty much standard to ebooks anyway. And you get increased Kindle book exposure and revenue through Kindle Unlimited and the Kindle Owners Lending Library, depending on the country which the book is being sold in, which usually all countries, but a person buying in Brazil might not be in Kindle Unlimited, and likewise for someone buying in the US isn't Kindle Owners Lending Library. It's different for different countries. And they're similar services, but they don't work exactly the same way. But they both do generate revenue for you. And you also, without getting KDP Select, you'd also be missing out on free book promotion through the author-initiated countdown deals and free book periods that you can trigger every once in a while. I think it's about 5 days every 90. And what this will do for you is it increases traffic to your book page on the Amazon store, which in turn is going to give you increased number of sales. And at least in the short run, it's going to give you increased book rankings, which means people will be able to find it easier in the search engine, and that's a big deal. If you didn't have to give up all the other retailers, then no question it would be worth it to use KDP Select to take advantage of these features. However, the reason it's worth considering is because Kindle and Amazon are still king when it comes to sales. Otherwise, there's no question it wouldn't be worth giving up all the other retailers, but because Amazon is such a big deal, it's at least worth considering. If you look at other people's experiences, then you'll see some people who thank Amazon as the majority of their overall sales. I think I saw one guy who said 75% of my sales come from Amazon. Now, that might be because he failed to promote on other websites, but Amazon is a big deal, is the point there. So some people who got some nice short-term results with KDP Select promotions, they did so by getting their books boosted to the top of the charts temporarily, like using the free book promotion. So 100 people go and download their book over the course of a couple days, maybe even more than that. And then after that, you still have the lingering momentum to generate the sales that actually give you money. And there were also other people who were talking about how that in the long run, it's better to have their books out on all other retailers rather than to just have KDP Select and only selling their ebook on Amazon. So there's not really a central consensus to it all. It kind of depends on what your strategies are, what kind of books you're selling, and it's the kind of thing you really have to experiment with. Now, either way you try to go, you're going to lose some potential revenue compared to in a perfect world where you could have both be in KDP Select and have your books everywhere else, legitimately at least. And, when it comes to KDP Select or Kindle Select, the Kindle Unlimited and Kindle Owners Lending Library programs, they do pay out royalties based on the number of borrows that your book has. And the reason they pay for these borrows is because anyone who has access to borrow your book through Kindle Unlimited or the Kindle Owners Lending Library has to pay a monthly fee for that service. So instead of paying for each book individually, they're paying basically for a month of unlimited books from this selection that is all the books in the Kindle Unlimited library. And then what happens is that when your books get borrowed, at the end of the period, which I think is once every month, they will give you a portion out of their lending library overall global fund, based on the number of borrows you had. And that is a significant portion of income. Borrows are easier to happen than sales, at least without direct promotion. But on the flip side, if you only have it in one store, then that, of course, means anybody who goes and shops for books on Kobo, Smashwords, iTunes, Google Play, Barnes & Nobles, wherever, anywhere else on the internet, they have no chance of being exposed to your book, and that does translate directly into lost sales. So it's a tough decision to make for sure, and I'd recommend that you go and look at other people's opinions, other bloggers. A lot of authors have their own blogs, obviously. And see what other people think about it, gather some more information. But what you should know is that with Kindle Direct Publishing Select, at any given time, you can enter into it at any given time. But you may only cancel within the first 3 days of entering KDP Select. Beyond that, you have to wait 90 days for the 90-day agreement to wear off. And this is a quote from one of the FAQs. How do you cancel from books enrollment from KDP Select? Once your book's term in KDP Select begins, you will have 3 days to cancel. To do so, simply go to the book's enrollment details and uncheck Keep this book enrolled in KDP Select box. This option will be available during your 3 days of each 90-day period during which your book is enrolled. Note that once you begin using your free promotion days, the cancellation period will end. So that's basically just what I said, just straight from the FAQ. But you will notice in addition to that, if you do start using free promotion before you get out of KDP Select, if you're in that 3-day grace period, then you're basically stuck in it for 90 days. So if you're going to try it at all and try the benefits, the free promotion, which is the big thing, then you're going to have to wait 90 days before you can get out of that and see if it's better to sell your books in all of the online stores directly. And personally, I'm choosing to forego KDP Select in the future, at least for the immediate time being, so that I can have my books published elsewhere. And that's kind of sad to me because it's pretty exciting to, the possibilities of having books out there in the Kindle library or the Kindle Unlimited library and still getting paid for it, even though, people who are subscribing to that service, they basically just download the book. And it's much easier for them to download it directly when they're not paying, the $3 or $4 than it is if it's free, of course. I mean, you can't argue with free. But it's free, kind of, that you do get paid for. So it sucks to lose out on that. And I'm definitely not entirely certain which method actually makes more money overall, since I'm still relatively new to the ebook arena. But I really don't like giving up the control over my materials to say, okay, here's the exclusivity agreement. I can't do anything else with the book really except promote it, but this is where it's going to be at, and that's just the end of discussion. It feels better to me, personally, to be able to put my work where you want, when you want to put it there. And as a comparison, after all, if I or you or anybody else who's publishing ebooks really wanted to give up control over their materials, then in a sense, wouldn't it just make more sense to develop a 9-to-5 job where you lose all your control anyway? Because the whole idea of being independent is that you get control over your materials and control over what you're going to do with them. And while KDP Select isn't really giving up all control over it, it is signing an agreement for 90 days, which does kind of limit what you can do. So that's just my thoughts on the subject. I've been Chris Navarre. If you want to check out my website, it's chrisnavarre.com, where I have a blog and information about my own nonfiction books, which I've written, mostly tip guides and that kind of thing for various subjects up there right now. If you do have any comments or thoughts about this subject, whether you should or shouldn't use KDP Select in favor or against distributing your books all over the web, go ahead and leave a comment down below, because it's a fairly controversial subject. Aside from that, if you found this helpful, and you want to contribute directly, you can go to my Patreon at patreon.com/ChrisTutorials. Thank you for watching, and I will see you all next time.